What is up, everybody? It is Alex from Heavy New York calling from the quarantine zone again, and this time we are here with Charlie of As Everything Unfolds. Thank you so much for your time today. It's great to have you here.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I'm very excited.
Yeah, I was very excited to do this interview. As I told you, I was listening to the new album Within Each Lies the Other, and really amazing to listen to. Could the first singles that you released, which is Take Me There, Wallow, Stranger in the Mirror, and Grayscale, do you feel that that's a good representation of the entirety of the album, or do you still feel that there's a lot more that this album has to say?
Yeah, I feel like we definitely picked the singles because we wanted to show the broad spectrum of what we can do. I mean, we've always been very broad in the way we write our music, but we definitely didn't pick songs that all kind of had the same theme. We kind of picked, Wallow's like a really heavy song, and then Grayscale's a lot like lighter and a lot more commercial. So yeah, I think it shows a nice broad idea of what you're going to get.
Yeah. What with the making of Within Each Lies the Other, do you feel that like maybe that there was like a preconceived idea of how you wanted this album to sound, or was there maybe like a lot of experimentation or trial and error?
I think, to be honest, it just kind of came together. I mean, we just a lot of this was actually written like at the same time as our first EP, so it was just more of a natural kind of mature version of what we were already doing. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So it kind of just fell into place, which is quite a nice thing.
Yeah. And I consider like As Everything Unfolds music to have like many different like sounds and vibes behind it. I mean, again, like Take Me There or Wallow, which were bangers to me, but then like Stranger in the Mirror, which is my favorite of the singles so far, like how it's has like a bridge between that, and Grayscale really has kind of like an emotional vibe behind it. So it almost seems like As Everything Unfolds is never really afraid to try new things or take a new approach, right?
Oh yeah, 100%. We just write music that we like writing. We don't write music for any other reason. But, if somebody said to us, "You need to write a metalcore album," we'd be like, "No, we're going to do what we want to do."
Yeah. I mean, I do see, unfortunately, some people labeling this in the metalcore vein, but I really do see this appealing to multiple audiences. I mean, there's some, like, real hard, heavy parts that kind of reminded me of, like, the Gothenburg death metal bands in a way. So I think that this album has a lot more to hear, for people to hear.
Oh yeah, definitely, definitely.
Yeah. When it comes, being that there's six members in the band, and I think every member really brings in their own creative energy to bit. I love the rhythm section. I love the guitars. I love the vocals. Is there ever like something that always start? Is there ever something that always has to come first with each song, or has the making of every song like played by its own rules?
To be honest, we normally start with guitars, like just naturally. Adam, who our guitarist is our main songwriter, and what will happen is he will kind of write a riff, or he will have like a riff idea, and that's kind of the skeleton of the song. And then John will come in, like our programming and keyboard guy, will come in and sort of write on top of it, and then I will come on top and then build on top of that. So it is like we start with the guitar always. I don't think there actually has been a song that has not been started like that. So, which I feel like it works.
Mm. Well, as a vocalist, have you ever had maybe like a lyrical idea or a concept that maybe could help influence the sound of the guitars or maybe the music itself?
I always sometimes I'll have like little melodies that run around my head, but what I tend to do is I tend to then take that and incorporate it into what already exists. There's never been I'm not musical in terms of like I can't write music. I'm not I don't play an instrument or anything. I have no traditional training in any way. So we're all self-taught. None of us are classically trained or anything. None of us can read music, which is hilarious. But it's so for me, I definitely feel like I just take what I've got and kind of put it on top. And to be fair, there has been times where they've adjusted what they've written to match what I've kind of got, or we meet in the middle somewhere.
Yeah, because I've noticed with Stranger in the Mirror that like the guitars start off very clean, but then at the heavy parts they get down tuned. So it's cool how like there's contrast in the voice and contrast in the instrumentation. I feel like all six of you really play with each other. It is like a very collaborative effort. It seems like it's not like a very. I don't consider As Everything Unfolds to be a guitar driven band or a vocal driven band or a rhythm band. I feel like you're all able to like lend your talents and create something together, which makes your own sound.
Oh yeah, definitely. I feel like also what we like to do, obviously because of COVID, we can't do what we would normally do, which is we all sit in a room together and write as one unit. Like we will, although some members don't write, or they will try and have an input or we always have everybody's opinions on board, and I do feel like that is what makes our songs kind of have quite a broad sense of ideas. You know, people will drop in and go, oh, how about this, or definitely a collaborative effort rather than one person that does everything like Beartooth.
Yeah. And having multiple usages of your voice, because I feel like the clean screaming, the clean vocals and the screaming all equally shine. Do you feel that with the different usages of your voice that like maybe you're expressing a different side of yourself personally?
Yeah, I mean, I tend to use my scream vocals for more emotive parts, like, and parts that are to me that feel like need to be shouted out. You know, like you know, you if you were in that situation and saying those words, and in the situation that the song's about, that moment is like needs to be screamed, it needs to be shouted, and I tend to try and work that around that. So it kind of works that way, and
Hmm.
then the cleans just fill in everywhere else.
Hmm. Do you like to leave the lyricism open to interpretation, or do you try to maybe like engage the listener into what maybe the song could be about? I feel like Grayscale. I think that it was Grayscale where like you had like a quote about heaven or something like that. That opened up the song. I think it was Grayscale, and I felt like that had a very positive message, but also maybe like a melancholy aura surrounding it. Like I just thought the lyricism has a lot of meaning. So do you feel that maybe do you try to engage the listener into the lyricism, or do you like things to be open to interpretation?
So I always write from my perspective, but what I do when I write from my own perspective is I try and keep it open enough that people can put their own situation, or like take their situation and put the song to it. So I don't write, although it's got a personal meaning to me, it can also have a personal meaning to somebody else about a totally different situation. And I always try and do that because I feel like when somebody can relate to a song, they can attach themselves to a song more. So, and that's how I've always felt. So that's what I try and do.
Mhm. Could somebody's interpretation of their music maybe change how you look at the song in itself in a way too?
Oh yeah, definitely. We've had people like tell me about, like, you know, fans have messaged me and stuff and been like, oh yeah, like I, you know, this song, and I put myself in these boots and it really helped me. And I'm going, that's great. That's exactly what I want it to do. I want it to be something for you to go to that you can put your own situation in and maybe feel positive at the end of it.
Yeah, and I feel like I don't consider an As Everything Unfolds song to just be predominantly a sad song or an angry song or a happy song. I think that like the best way to describe this new album is that it's appropriate to listen to it in any situation. I think that this is an album that could share people's joy as much as share people's pain. I feel.
Yeah, it's definitely like a lot of the songs always deal with kind of both sides of the spectrum, the sad and then the moving forward and the hopefulness, which is kind of like ties into what the album, like the concept of the album and the album title, like within each lies the other. It kind of, it's a play on of like as above, so below, like you can't have one without the other. So it kind of all plays into that basically.
Yeah. When writing the lyrics, because I love asking artists about lyrics. I know some people are kind of like about it, but like I am curious. Do you find it easier to maybe write lyrics when maybe you're like alone? I've always said isolation is a great fuel for creativity, even though not so much nowadays. But like, or do you maybe like to be in the company of your other bandmates and maybe they help influence you since the songwriting starts with you all in a room together?
So I definitely write lyrics by myself. I feel like because I tend to like write late at night, and I will sort of sit with my laptop and on my phone and whatever, and just put my headphones in and just sort of like jot things down, and then I will take it to the table, you know, the judging table, when we're sort of like bringing it all together, and the boys will kind of be like, oh, I'm not sure about that one. Let's swap it out with this, and you know, they're very helpful. They're not very, they're critical in a good way. Like they're always like, oh, I feel like that could be better. And we work together, and I'm never offended by it, and I feel like it does work sometimes, but generally I write by myself and then they'll kind of dip in.
Okay, so it is a collaborative, but also it is resonating with you.
Yeah.
Now, another thing that I found really appealing about As Everything Unfolds, I really liked the photo shoot when when I like looked you up on the socials and got like the promo for the album. I really enjoyed. I thought like the photo shoot was so unique. You have kind of like this nature element into it. I feel like you have like this sense of imagery that I think has something very familiar but also very fresh. Like, do you almost feel like, in a way, kind of a silly question, but like, do you almost feel that maybe like in the music or even when you play live that like you're almost in a way like portraying a character outside of who you personally are?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely, when I'm on stage, I'm a totally different person to my real life. And I think that goes for most of us. And I do feel like when we're in the band and when we're, when we're doing photo shoots and videos and playing live, you almost have to put like the switch on where you sort of like change into this different persona. And it definitely helps with the whole process. And we have kind of created this like concept, especially around this album. And I really want someone to figure it out, because it's kind of like there is like an overarching concept that's it's based on something, and I'm dying for somebody to figure it out. So hopefully they do. But now we've kind of had that to focus on. We've kind of built this image and idea around it. So.
And do you feel like maybe this concept is something you want to address in the future of as everything unfolds, or do you think that this is just for this particular album and maybe like for the future you'll tackle different subject matters or different meanings?
So I think it's definitely just for this album. I think it worked very, very well for what this album was about, in terms of tying it in. And I've always, we've always like been like, oh, we really want to write a concept album, and I'm like, nah, I can't do that. I'm not my chem. But it kind of allowed us to do that idea and take that idea that we all loved and create something slightly different off of it.
Yeah, I mean, as a diehard My Chemical Romance fan, I mean, I think the Black Parade and Three Cheers. I actually went to the same college as Gerard Way, so like I pretty much was like, yeah, orientation week at my school looked like Warped Tour. I'm not even exaggerating.
Oh my god, do you know, I am literally like if somebody mentions the word My Chemical Romance, I'm just like, I love them so much, honestly.
Oh my god, yeah, like they're amazing. I mean, I brought you my bullets, you brought me your love will always be my favorite, but I do love the other ones. And
I recently got that on vinyl.
oh really? Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
They stopped playing my favorite song because they thought it was cursed, Drowning Lessons. So
Yeah, good tune, good tune.
yeah, but I feel like with My Chemical Romance, even though they call their albums concept albums, I don't know. I consider their albums to. I think there's a difference between a concept album and an album that's conceptual. And I like how you're kind of like having this sort of interactive element where you kind of want the listeners to sort of figure it out. Are you ever going to let the listeners know when they got it right?
I think so. I think we've got like a Discord with some like fans who are obviously like our sort of like more kind of diehard and like fans that interact with everything we do, and none of them have figured it out yet. And I don't feel like anybody's really noticed, which is kind of what I wanted. I wanted it to be really subtle enough that it wasn't really in your face, but if somebody did, it'd be really cool. So all the artworks, all the single artworks, all create something that is something that exists, and it's all very cool.
Yeah, you're definitely a My Chemical Romance fan, being vague
Oh, yeah.
with everything like they have. Like like they're always so vague with everything. I remember every announcement. I remember when they posted that skeleton to announce the UK shows. I'm like, come on, this is torture.
Yeah.
Yeah,
A summoning.
yeah, the summoning, and we got the offering, which was pretty
Yeah.
awesome. And did you think of this concept or have this idea before you started writing the album, or did you like come up with this maybe as you were writing more and more lyrics and as the band was writing more and more music?
So it was actually when we were recording the album. So when we were recording, we went away. We stayed in a place called Folkestone, which is like a southern town in England, and like by the sea. And we got like a nice Airbnb. We chilled there. I had an apartment and stuff. And when the boys were like recording their bits, I had like a lot of time just to myself, just to sort of like think. And I went, right, now is the perfect time to sort of bring it all together. Now I've got everything written. Now I've got everything, and I brought it all together, and I just sat all day, did my research, came up with my ideas, and then I basically did like a PowerPoint presentation to the boys when they came home. And I was like, this is what the album is about. And they're like, yeah, cool, sounds good.
Talk about a last minute add-on to the album, like when it was already recorded. And
Yeah.
and because it's funny too, because it kind of like I was gonna ask. I mean, now it's kind of been kind of answered, but it almost seems like do you feel that maybe in the future when you write that maybe a concept could, obviously it influences lyricism, but do you feel that maybe in the future if you address different subject matters that could also influence the music itself?
Yeah, I'm definitely we've started like obviously because this album was recorded like a year and a half ago, so we've already started like the next sort of lot of sort of phase of stuff. And I'm trying to sort of create like start from the beginning and create a concept from the beginning and work off that it's really hard, but I'm trying to push myself because I think it would be really cool because I've really enjoyed that whole committing to the sort of concept and committing to a theme. It's been really interesting, and I feel like people attach themselves to it because they feel like they can like identify with like something in it, like with my cam and the Black Parade. You know, you could grab it and be a hold of it and be a part of it, which is what I kind of wanted for people.
Hmm. Yeah, I feel like it's because sometimes you don't want to force feed a concept. Like you don't want to like be like it's this and only this, and like, but I feel like the music is very easy for people to gravitate towards, and I think that the concept is open enough to the point where people are gonna want to know what it is. I think your diehard fans are gonna like lose sleep at night trying to figure out what this concept is.
A couple of people have started noticing things in the videos and they've sort of started questioning it, so they just need to put them all together, put the puzzle pieces together.
And when it comes to like getting this inspiration and like thinking of concepts or lyrics or even the music, does inspiration sometimes strike when you least expect it, or do you sometimes like have a usual go-to mode or a usual place that you need to be in order for the creative energy to come?
So a lot of time my like inspiration comes from like watching films and stuff like, and like obviously listening to music, but a lot of like my, especially like conceptual ideas, I'll watch films and I'll watch documentaries and I'll just be like, oh, that's cool, and I'll kind of write it down, and I will then come back to that idea when I'm trying to write, and I'll be like, right, how can I turn this into what I want to turn it into? So that's kind of how I work on that, or how I've been trying to work on that at the moment.
Hmm. Okay, so it is kind of like it is almost like a learning experience as well as everything unfolds. It is almost like that you and your band are learning something together. It's not that you're writing music, but it seems like you're informing yourselves as much as you're informing your listeners.
Oh, 100%. This whole band has been like a learning curve for all of us in all different ways, like finding out who we are, you know, going through shit and coming out the other end, and, you know, being, you know, we bicker like an old married couple, like as the group of us, you know, but we're always there for each other. And we've changed as people, you know, we've been going for quite a long time. We were quite young when we started as well. So the whole band has just been a educational like experience in so many different ways, and the good thing is that we're always learning, we're always evolving, like because we've done our album now, we haven't just gone right, that's it, that's how we do it. It's like we're always trying to find new ways of doing things, and, you know, more effective ways, or just experimenting with new things because we just love doing that.
Absolutely. You ready for the most difficult question of the whole interview?
Oh no. Yeah.
How do you know when a song is done?
Do you know what? We could have gone on forever. There was a couple of songs on the album that we did go round and round and round on. And I think when you know it's done is just when you get so fed up with it, you just leave it alone and you're like, oh yeah, that song.
Yeah.
To me, like it's, you know, we are very much like, we do a lot of demoing ourselves, and we sort of we focus on that like a lot more so than sort of being in the practice studio and stuff. We spend a lot of time demoing, and yeah, it is a really, really difficult one because there is no definitive answer to that. There is no right or wrong.
Absolutely. That was actually a decent enough answer. I normally get the typical, oh, you just abandon the song, or you never know when it's done, or when I get the final mix back. So that was actually a good. That leans more towards the better answer I've gotten for that question.
Oh, good.
And being that you mentioned that, you know, within each lies the other, do you feel that like being that you worked on this for a long span of time, is what we're going to be hearing on this album how these songs were maybe like initially written, or do you feel like these songs did change a lot over a span of time, as you mentioned, right? Like are many of the songs like the final take?
To be honest, a lot of them are just what they were. Like the only things that really changed for us was sometimes we'd move like structures, or like if there was like lyrics that I wrote for a chorus that didn't quite work, we'd swap them out for a verse, or pretty much the demos in terms of what they are compared to the album tracks are pretty much the same, just without the good production. But yeah, generally our demos are kind of, and what we write and what we start with is very close to what we end with. We don't tend to stray too far.
Okay. That's a good way of putting it, because like that's the best way I describe this album. It's like raw with emotion but polished in its sound in a way, and I think that's a way that people could really gravitate towards it. It's, you know, I think people like say when stuff is produced, especially with, you know, a more heavy music, like it takes away from the raw energy, but I think the emotion that's channeled into there is as raw as it can get.
Yeah, definitely. Like our producer, he's very, very good at getting that sort of like crisp and like being able to hear everything, because obviously there's quite a lot of us in the band creating quite a lot of noise. So we needed to go to somebody that could get that clarity, and he was definitely the right person, especially on the vocals. Like the clarity on the clean vocals is so good.
Yeah, definitely. And the final question I wanted to ask you is, I've noticed that I forgot where in the UK particularly that the band originated from. Where?
Okay, so it's basically about 20 miles outside London. So it's near like we're basically from this town called High Wycombe, which is near Watford. I don't know if you even have a clue where that is.
I've heard of it. I've heard of it. I've had a lot of friends.
There's a band called Gallows, the big punk Gallows were from there, and Lower Than Atlantis. I don't know if you've heard of them.
I've heard of both of those bands. Yeah.
Yeah, they're from Watford. So we've got quite a lot. Like, there's a really big like punk scene. Like Frank Carter and the Rattlesnakes. Like Frank and Steph Carter like live around here.
Oh wow.
So it's kind of like there's a really big like underground like punks. It was like 10, 15 years ago, like quite a big. And Young Guns are from High Wycombe, where we're from. So they're all, and then Shikari as well. Like we're all kind of like, you can kind of hear that kind of the inspiration coming from where we're from. There's a lot of like music and inspiration from that.
Yeah, because it seems like there has been a lot of bands. I mean, there's one band, I mean, sound-wise, not so much, but I think they have a similar sense of imagery. Creeper is, I think, maybe around from where you're from as well.
I actually don't. I think they're from up north. I actually have no idea. I don't actually listen to them, which is, people are always shocked by that. I've never actually listened to them, but yeah, no, they are very, very good in terms of their like imagery, and I love all their imagery and all their graphics and everything. Yeah. It looks super.
Yeah, if you like My Chem, you'll like their music as well. But I've noticed, like,
I've been told that so many times.
Yeah, where have you been? Where are you?
Yeah.
But you know, there's a lot of great bands that have really been thriving in the UK, such as Loathe. I mean, they put out an amazing album last year. They're from Liverpool, I believe, and
yeah,
you know, an Employed to Serve, a great hardcore band that has been doing great things. So it seems like there is a really thriving scene in the UK at the moment. Even in the era of no shows happening, it seems like there is a great sort of a camaraderie scene that everybody in the UK has, right?
Yeah, no, it's definitely like, especially like the bands that are in our sphere, like you were saying, like Loathe, and Holding Absence and Dream State and bands like that, that we're in sort of in this sphere, and it's really nice to be part of a like community, a band community that's really that creates good music, great music, and I'm inspired by my peers probably more than anybody in my writing these days.
Oh wow. And do you think that maybe is like, being that I have this discussion with a lot of like local hardcore bands here in New York City, but like, do you find like there's a great scene, but I'd imagine the goal, as soon as shows happen again and things open up again, that the goal would be to kind of go outside your scene a little bit more? Is there a chance maybe you could bring, as everything unfolds, to the States? We want you here. I was saying that this would be the band to open that My Chemical Romance reunion show.
Oh my god, I'd die if I did, honestly. But we are dying to play anyway. Like, we last year or 2 years ago, we managed to get to Europe before the whole Brexit situation, which was really lucky, because obviously we don't even know if we can even go to Europe. It's you know, so we're kind of stuck in this UK bubble. We can't even go to Ireland. You know, we're stuck in this UK bubble at the moment. But we are so desperate to go anywhere and everywhere. We love it. I'd love to go to like Japan, love to go to the States, love to go to Australia. I'm just desperate.
Yeah, we would love to have you here. And I've been showing this album to like everybody who's into like the styles. So yeah, again, please come to the States.
We will. We're pushing for it.
Yeah. So before we go, I want to thank you so much for your time today. Really enjoyed this conversation, and I'm looking forward to the rest of the world to hear this album. Is there just anything else with the band that you would like to promote? Maybe like a live stream performance to hold people over, new merch, or anything else that you would like to plug for as everything unfolds?
At the moment, we haven't got anything planned in terms of a live stream. We're hopefully something will get sorted, but it's very difficult at the moment trying to get stuff sorted. Venues obviously are not allowed to open and things like that. Merch store, unfortunately, we can't ship anywhere out of the UK at the moment, but we will be able to soon. So once that's sorted, but the best thing you can do is just listen to us on like Spotify, YouTube, like follow our socials, and then you will get updates on the fresh new and exciting things we're doing.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, everybody. As everything unfolds, within each lies the other. Be sure to pick that up in March of this year. You will not regret it. Absolutely amazing album. This is Alex from Heavy New York. We will see you next time.